Here's what I want to show you first. My brother does, he programs for a living. He lives down in Kansas City, and he works a lot with Microsoft stuff. And I sent him a program that I'd made to randomly group my classes into groups of 4, or in your guys' cases, I randomly group them into 2s. And so if you run this program, this is not the one I did. It groups it up into groups of 3 or 4. And you can see the last one is in a group of 3. And we went back and forth on the program that I had done over text messaging. And he said, well, why don't you do this? And I thought, well, I just put student 24 in for here. Here's the text file that's reading. So I wanted to get multiples of 4. So what I did is I just did student 20, and it put in this dummy name to get to multiples of 4. And he goes, well, why don't you just do this and this and this? And I go, well, I can just move people around when I get mine set up. So hour or 2 hours go by in the day after we had our little text messaging, and I get a text, hey, I gave it a try. And he sent it to me. He might have emailed. I don't remember how I got this from him now, though. And so this is his program. Now this is what a professional program looks like. It's going to be similar to ours, but there are a couple things that were striking for me. Number one is he doesn't program in Java. Whatever he uses, and I've asked him a couple times, I think it's a version of C. It's like a Microsoft version of C, and so he could tell me again what he does, but for some reason I keep forgetting what language he programs in. He doesn't do Java, but he did this one in Java, and he did it very quickly because object-oriented languages they have the same concepts in both. The syntax just a little different. So maybe he had to look up a little bit of syntax, but I think I asked him, he said he didn't really have to look up much at all. So that was kind of fun to realize, once you're done with this class, you should be able to program in about any language, at least any object-oriented programming. Second thing that struck me were the variable names and the fact that he uses a constant, file static int, max group size. What do you think the variable max group size stands for? It's the maximum group size. What do you think, out here, this one's, I don't know if you'll get this. What do you think the variable number of groups represents?
The amount of groups.
The amount of groups. You guys won't get this one, but I'll say it anyway. What do you think student name stands for?
The amount of groups?
No, not the amount of groups. The name of the students. And I go, his name's Russ. Russ Smith, actually. We have the same last name because we're brothers. I go, Russ, I love your variable names. And he said in a very serious manner, he said, if you have people working on programs together, if you have a team, every one of them should be able to look at your program and know exactly what each variable means. They can't be guessing. And you certainly, when you write it, you don't want a bunch of phone calls from your team member going, what does X stand for? Oh, that was number of groups. And then your team members go, well, name it number of groups, so I don't have to keep calling you, right? All right, so that struck me as even this int number of groups equals calculate number of groups. That's his method name. What do you think calculate number of groups, what do you think that method does?
Separates them into groups.
It calculates the number of groups. You see what I'm getting at? That's what a pro does. This is what a professional programmer would do. This is what their program looks like. So one, it's awesome that he can just program in any language he wants. That's awesome. That'd be a nice little talent to have, or whatever you want to call it. I love the variables. And okay, someone else said this last class. I'm going to scroll through it. Should I make it a little bigger for you guys in back? There we go, a little bigger. All right, there's a method. There's a return method, return group index. We don't know what array lists are yet unless you've done programming before and you actually do know what they are. Get students, calculate number of groups, and this gets a random number. So the other thing that was striking to me, what do you think I'm thinking of? Someone got it last period. I was pretty amazed just by looking at this. Now the student said kind of this. But what my brother said, what I told him as I go, boy, I love your uses of methods. That everything, pretty much everything you did in the program, or a lot of it, was done in a method. And he goes, yeah, that's for grit. Well, I don't know if I said that I love your organization of methods. He said each method should have a singular purpose. Each method should only really accomplish one thing, because then you can reuse them. Anytime you need to do that single thing, you can just call the method and it'll do it for you. That's why at the very end here, it says get random number. He has a method just for getting the random number. Because then if he put that in another method, now your method has two purposes. And each method should have a singular purpose. Now that doesn't mean if you were to put this in a method that I'm going to count your program wrong. All I'm doing right now is showing you how a professional program would do a program. What would a pro do? And so that's kind of a nice little, it's nice that I have a brother that actually does this. So anytime I need some programming help, I call him up. And I haven't really bothered him too much, and he volunteered this. I didn't ask him to do this. It was very nice of him. I think he wanted to do something that would be fun rather than programming always be for work. I think he looked at this and go, oh, this would be kind of fun to do. And I'm not getting paid to do it. I don't think of that as teaching. I don't want to teach when I leave the building, but kudos to my brother. No, I do. I help my daughters. I've tutored a little bit, but anyway, thank you to my brother for sending this.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, no, I thank him. You guys don't have to, but I do. But thanks. He appreciates that. I actually recorded this. I'm going to send it to him as a thank you to show that I actually told you guys. I went through it. I showed him. So he'll appreciate that